Bella Baxter is brought back to life by the brilliant yet freaky scientist, Dr. Godwin Baxter. Hungry and horny for the worldliness she lacks, she embarks on a journey across continents with grade A scumbag, Duncan Wedderburn. Breaking free from societal constraints, Bella embraces a quest for equality and liberation. This is Poor Things.
And welcome back to another episode of the Nosebleed AV Club. My name is Matt God Baxter. And joining me is my co-host, Austin McCandles. And with us today is probably the only celebrity guest we will get on this podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, famous artist Andy Eat Burger is joining us here today.
Why am I the cuck? I'm like the one out of all three of us that's like married. Why am I the cuck?
Because you're married. Only cucks get married, bro.
You don't like being a cuck, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
There's nothing. No, we don't shame. That's fine.
That's fine. It's cool.
Not my style of living.
And tonight we are discussing Poor Things. And really, what better group of people to discuss a movie about the female experience than us? Yeah,
three gay men.
I think I have like a little bit more leniency because I'm black.
It's true. Yeah. Yeah. None of us are white.
And I'm a little bit more femboy than you guys.
That's true. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Have you seen my shorts, bro? My shorts are pretty short right now, and this shirt's pretty fucking tight, bro. I'm not
even wearing shorts. So boom.
This is like the opposite of dick measuring. This is like Andrew Tate is rolling in his prison cell.
All right, let's start talking about the movie. The director, Yorgos. How do you say his last name, Austin? Lanthimos. This is our second movie of his.
Yeah.
That we are reviewing. Do I like it better? Do I like it worse than the other one? We'll get to that. What about you, Austin?
I did like this movie.
Brandon?
I loved it. Oh, this shit is amazing, dude.
Poor Things stars Academy Award winner Emma Stone, known from La La Land, the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies, Easy A, Crazy Godwin, aka God Baxter, is played by Willem Dafoe because he looked fucked up in this movie. God damn.
When is he not though? Like he's always got something going on with him.
That's the makeup department, bro. Like,
truly.
In that.
He looked wild.
His face looked like a fucking jigsaw puzzle. That shit was crazy.
Yeah. So Willem Dafoe, best known for his role in Aquaman, but not only that, he was also in Spider-Man, A Family Man, The Northman, A Most Wanted Man, The Man, and last but not least, Woman. Amazing filmography.
Dude, he's already more qualified to talk about it than us.
Yep.
He's been in Woman. Something none of us can relate to.
Duncan Wedderburn is played by Mark Ruffalo, most known for not having his own Marvel movie. And also 13 going on 30.
Dude, most known for slaying that fucking puss, bro.
And speaking of slaying puss, someone who did none of that, Max McCandles, is played by Rami Youssef, most known for his show, Rami. Quite the cast,
Why do you look so confused, Brandon? I can see in your glasses that you're looking something up right now.
Dude, I'm not doing shit. You can't see shit.
I can literally see.
Is he working while doing this podcast?
Yeah, are you working right now? Are you looking at Emma Stone nudes right now? Is that what I see?
Yeah, for real.
Dude, actually, hold up. Do the show.
Out of all the casts, did you have any that you thought stood out?
Dude,
who were some of your favorites in here?
Mark Ruffalo, dog. Dude, my favorite part was when he would break his act and he'd be like, "No, the fuck!" He would go at her and be like, "The fuck, you stupid bitch!" Basically. It's like, no, what the fuck?
Shut the fuck up. You cunt. That's like every guy ever that's like a fucking total fuckboy that like thinks he runs like the shit like around all these girls, and then like he finally finds that one that like just takes him to his absolute limit, you know?
I don't think he was even fuckboy material. I don't think he was a fuckboy at all, actually.
Like, what was your read on his character? Like modern day interpretation.
An adult single male that was looking more for somebody he could take advantage of, in a sense. I think if fuckboys are more younger, I think Mark Ruffalo's character had the maturity to be above a fuckboy, more something that could be.
Mm-hmm. He's manipulated many a host.
Be worse.
He's experienced.
Yeah.
He's a veteran in the game.
Yeah, he's experienced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's an OG. He's an unk. He's a fuck
He's
unk.
an OG.
Don't call it a comeback.
Leonardo DiCaprio type.
Yeah.
Like,
actually,
who only dates certain age woman.
That's a good one.
I can see that. Yeah. I like that.
You think Leo saw this movie and he like did his like thing like in
like he was just
he's like
ooh,
literally
he
once the girls hit Leo's threshold past that, boom. That's when she disappeared.
Once they're out of their prime at the ripe age of 22,
I think.
Yeah, out of their prime.
I think 25 is like the hard cap, right? Like no more than 25.
Do we all agree that like, because like obviously Emma Stone fucking amazing in this movie. Just like the little mannerisms that she does in this movie, I think are really well done. Like the little nuance to some of her performance and the faces she makes in like where she's trying to convey emotion without saying anything, I think work really well in this movie. The delivery on a lot of the lines, not a lot of people could like make these lines as funny or as interesting as she does. And I think she does an amazing job. Like between her and Mark Ruffalo, who Mark Ruffalo just executes on being total scumbag, not supposed to like him at all, but somehow just ends up being extremely fucking charming and hilarious throughout this entire movie. Like this whole time, you're like, I know I'm not supposed to like him, but god damn it, is he one of the better parts of the movie. Like anytime he's on the screen, he just eats.
No crumbs, baby. No crumbs.
I mean,
no crumbs.
I thought it was the funniest fucking performance. Like I could not stop dying. Every fucking line that motherfucker delivered like a motherfucking beast, dude. I swear to God, like
he said that shit with his chest, bro.
Performance of the year.
Yeah.
What's that?
It's like damn near he wasn't even acting. Like that's just Mark Ruffalo, maybe. Like
I think
maybe that
his
really
true
is
self.
just how he is.
That's his true self. He was living his truth in this movie.
His character, it's like the comedy, but also like the seriousness of his character is what is really important in this film. It's just like he's like super funny, but I don't think like when you think about his character, he doesn't think he's a comedic person.
No,
but the way he's like
he says everything 100% seriously, like with his chest, like he fucking means it, and it's so good because like you're right, he's not trying to be funny at all. Like none of this is funny to him. He is just completely, that is just him.
He is him. He is him.
Obviously, like Willem Dafoe, amazing. Some of the people that we talked about, McCandles, played by Rami, thought he did pretty good for what he was given. You know, he wasn't exactly given a lot. There's like little delivery that he does that I think work really well for his character, where his character is somebody that you could tell really admires and buys into like what Willem Dafoe and who he is, but also still has like a normal person sense of things, where like he still is completely freaked out by everything that he does and knows what he's doing is wrong, where it's like, the fuck? Or like, Jesus.
What a beautiful retard.
What a beautiful wild line. It's just like he delivers it so good.
Yeah. There's an innocence to him. It's great.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's very pure.
I don't know who played specifically the older lady on the boat, but I thought she
she was really good.
She did. I thought she was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was good.
The guy, the one that plays the friend, he's like a comedian. I was kind of disappointed with what he was given in this movie. Like I thought that whole part with him should have led to more. He's kind of a turning point in the movie where he like is the one that like sets her world on fire by like showing her like the dark side of it. And then that's kind of it. Like there's nothing, like it's just such a quick hit. He's like one of the first ones that like actually challenges Bella, like challenges her, but he also like, she also still likes him. Like it's not like Mark Ruffalo's character where he's just challenging her, but it's like clearly stupid or illogical. Like he actually has like a logical sense in what he's challenging her on, and it stimulates her, you know, and it makes her question things.
Momentarily stimulates her. But the thing about this is like she's aging, her brain is growing, and she's aging faster. So the thing about her is like she picked up on his philosophy type persuado character really quickly. So she matured through it really fast. So what you think about his way of challenging her, it comes off really quickly because she's maturing so fast where a younger person may think, wow, so deep. But then gradually it just becomes, wow, your outlook on life is just,
That does make sense because towards the end of their whole thing, like when she's apologizing to him for biting his hand and shit, she does like pinpoint to him exactly who he is. And he even acknowledges like, oh, maybe you're right. Or he's just like a little boy who's scared of the world and doesn't know like how to handle it or whatever.
Literally, that's all that. I don't even think there needed to be even more of his character because like as like a teenager, you think like certain people are so deep in your life, like especially adulter people older than you. And it just turns out that they're really not that deep. They're just more cynical and they're afraid essentially.
Yeah, I think it's very clear that like this cast is just stacked, like from like top to bottom. Like I think everybody that's in it like makes really good use of their time. Like the tattoo lady that runs the whorehouse, like I thought she was really good. The guy that plays the husband, shitbag, not as charming as Mark Ruffalo, but still fucking good. Moving on from the cast, like let's just go into like general thoughts and feelings. So me and Brandon kind of already shared that we liked the movie, but Matt, I wanted to start with you since you didn't really give your answer.
Yeah, so I first want to start with the director of this movie. So last movie we did was The Lobster. Short premise was that if you don't have a partner, you get turned into an animal at some point in your life. This movie, I think, did the animal thing a lot better. It just worked for me more, right? Because The Lobster was kind of set where you don't know if it's supposed to be grounded or not, right? It's kind of like ambiguous in that aspect. Where this movie is just right off the bat, it's just some like fucking crazy theatrical shit you're about to see. So it just worked for me that like, yeah, you can put a fucking baby's brain in a lady, like a grown lady and have it work. And you can put a goat brain in someone and have them be a goat. Like, yeah, that works for me. I actually got to see it, which is what was lacking in The Lobster, right? Where it was like, how do they do it? They answered the questions here in this movie. So first and foremost, love that. But yeah, no, the movie was sick. I really didn't know how to feel about it after I watched it. It wasn't as weird as I thought it was going to be. It was beautifully shot, but I was like, what is this telling me, right? But it wasn't until later on where I kind of watched like a few video essays, or like one actually, where it was like, oh, it's kind of like going through like the different stages of like enlightenment. But no, overall, I mean, it was a good movie.
So I want to talk about Saltburn because everybody I talked to loves Saltburn, and I didn't like Saltburn. And I love the director of Poor Things. I loved The Lobster. Like, I love everything he's done.
Wait, did you watch The Killing of a Sacred Deer?
I did. That's my literally favorite. That's another one of my favorites. So this is
fucking wild.
I mean about this, it's like when you think about Saltburn is such like a light, almost mainstream version of an art house film.
Did Brandon watch our podcast on this?
Oh, what's that?
Did you watch?
No, I actually didn't. No, I didn't watch that one. But my idea is like, oh, this guy fucks a grave. Big deal. Oh my, and people lose their fucking minds. Big deal, fucking a grave. But like, it's not even like about that.
Brandon's like, I do that on Monday. That's a Monday to me.
I literally just got done fucking a grave. Literally.
The thing about Poor Things is this is literally like the staple of how you do an art house film. You have all of these really like shocking moments, but with Saltburn just like is like, okay, fuck a grave. But with Poor Things it's like the whole plot is just like it inputs these shocking materials into it so gracefully. But it's still just like, what the actual fuck is this? But it does it in such a genuinely artistic way where I think Saltburn misses that point, where I think Saltburn feels like a CW version of what this director can do in Poor Things, essentially.
That's like
that's
the
why
most
I loved it so much.
If I'm a movie director, that's like the most insulting thing I've ever heard in my life. You just compared my body of work to like a CW version of something.
That's how I felt. I felt a CW version of Poor Things. I think Poor Things is like where I think Hollywood the direction it should go in. It's this almost weird, nothing makes sense. The cinematography, the visuals, everything is like almost it's created by an entire department of people that are like, we're gonna make the set look like this isn't something that makes any visual sense. Even think of the boat scene, like how everything looks there, the color grading, like everything is original.
The color grading to me is like the biggest star. It goes for that effect of like, it almost looks like a black and white picture that was colorized. It has that like overly colored, overly saturated compensation.
Do you know what I think? AI had a huge influence in the direction of the movie, because a lot of it, if you're playing around, if anybody listening plays around with AI image generation, a lot of what I've seen in this movie kind of looks like that surrealist, tweaked reality imagery that people aren't used to. And I wasn't used to what I was seeing. It's creating imperfect images. And I think that's what this film did really well. It took you away from reality, but still you could relate to a lot of like Emma Stone's character, especially woman, can relate to growing up and, you know, developing in certain ways. But I think like the art direction was the hugely fictional part of this film. And I really do think they utilized AI in a way. I don't know if they'll ever disclose that, but that's just my opinion.
So I kind of want to keep going on the color grading real quick. So I also think it's also like symbolic how vibrant it is. So the thing is, this movie is based on a novel, right? And I believe the difference with the novel is that in the novel, we're seeing things through outsiders' perspectives and not Bella's. In this movie, we're seeing everything through Bella's eyes. So at the beginning of the movie, when it's black and white, we're still figuring out who Bella is. We're finding out, you know, what she is. And it's all very like focused in on God. And it's not until she kind of leaves where the world becomes color, right? It becomes vibrant. And it's kind of childlike, right? Because when you're young, the world is like that. When you're coloring with crayons, when you're drawing the world, it's vibrant. You know, crayons are heavily saturated. They're not dull or anything. It's not until you get later on in life where you kind of realize how ugly the world can be. But she's seeing everything through new eyes, through fresh eyes, through a child's eyes, really. And everything is bright and vibrant. And yeah, the color grading was just on point with this one.
Yeah, color grading to me is probably my favorite part of the movie. And then like how you're kind of talking about like bright eyes, big eyes, you know, how we see the world when we're first experiencing it and, you know, seeing things. Like, I don't know if you guys picked up on this, but one thing that I kind of noticed is that Bella's eyes in particular are like seem a little bit like bigger. And I don't know if that's like a trick they did with like her makeup, or if they maybe did use like some sort of computer CGI to like make her eyes look a little bit more wider or rounder, more bigger. Because like if you look up like a normal picture of Emma Stone and then you compare her to this movie, like her eyes look a little bit more like wider, bigger. You know, maybe they did the reverse of what they did to Scarlett Johansson in the Ghost in the Shell movie, where they tried to make her eyes look more Asian. I think this whole movie does an amazing job of just like that childlike wonder, and like very controversial, you know, as we'll get to, I'm sure. But like, you know, there's a lot of childlike nature to it and innocence, but it's also dealing with super mature topics. You know, we literally have a baby in a woman's body whom everybody treats as a woman, which, you know, speaks to like a lot of things and where a lot of the controversy with this movie comes from. There's people whose opinion I've seen are very like disgusted. You kind of understand, you can't really question somebody for feeling that way about it, because it is like what Brandon was saying, a provocative, controversial thing. Unlike Saltburn, which is like fake controversial, fake provocative, people have a legitimate reason to be mad at this movie that could be justified. I know Janice walked out of the movie theater kind of very not sure how to feel about this movie, because that was really bothering her. You know, and like that's even like why the laws are the way the laws are, where the reason why you can't have relations with someone under the age of 18 is because the whole notion that we as a society have agreed that their brain is not at a point yet where it's developed enough to be doing that sort of thing in a consensual manner. That's kind of like the premise of this movie, where when she does start having sex, going off of her mannerisms and how she's acting, you could probably surmise that she's around her teens mentally. Like she's throwing like fits, very emotionally driven. She's like threatening to hate God for the rest of her life. You know, shit that like an angsty teenager would say.
I kind of feel like she was like a little younger though than a teenager.
Then yeah.
So, because like some of the dialogue at the dinner scene, right? Like, oh, why would I? You know what I mean? She's very like, like, well, why would I do that if I don't like it? Like, blah, 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 blah. And then she was just repeating like, oh, you need to say this, this, and that. And she was just repeating it word for word. So I think she was maybe a little bit longer.
I fucking disagree.
Yeah.
Go for it.
She's like 20, 22.
That's such a specific
it.
age. Why? What
No,
makes you say
that's
that
it.
age? Okay, what makes you say that age though? Like,
Well, because it's like the whole premise of the film is men are of certain age or in general wanting a stereotypical Barbie type woman that is kind of like overly bubbly but just not aware of like anything that's going on. It's just because it's
Mhm.
easy for the Mark Ruffalo's character to manipulate somebody
Yeah.
like that. And as she grows older, he can no longer manipulate her and she's maturing. So
Mhm.
that's why he gets frustrated because he can't control her. So the whole premise of it is like, that's why I'm saying it's like at a certain point in the film, she is a child. But I think as soon as she leaves the house, she's definitely 18 and older at that point.
I think she's
I
in
don't
her
know.
20s when she meets the old lady and the other guy, the Harry, the guy who like challenges her mind and shows her reality. I think that's when she probably hits her 20s. So when she leaves with Mark Ruffalo and they have their fucking wild night of just like sex, right? And then she goes off and ventures for herself. She was like a child who like ran away from her parents for the first time, just like seeing everything and not comprehending like this couple is fighting. This is a bad thing. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like she was still pretty young. I definitely don't think she was like in her 20s at that point.
There's no right answer, right? Like none of us know for sure,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We can only take what we saw and make our assertions based off what we saw. Especially in our day and age, it's really hard to tell because we're in an era where people are doing all sorts of things at various different stages and ages of their life. You know, what I was doing at 17, 16 is not the same as what some other kids my same age now were doing at that age, and kids now are doing that age. So like, it's really hard to gauge. You know, we can all at least understand like why there's like a controversial nature to this
Yeah,
movie.
regardless of her
you know.
age, she was definitely being like manipulated and taken advantage of.
Yeah. So, and like,
Absolutely.
what I'm very curious about, right, is like from an actor's and actress's perspective, I am very curious to hear, like, watch interviews from like Emma Stone, from Mark Ruffalo, because like we both said, like all said, this is like some very controversial stuff. So I'm very curious to hear what like their perspective on it all is. If there was any at all like conflicted feelings about it, because like we all know Yorgos is a very, you know, Brandon's a big fan of his movies. I like The Lobster a lot. I wasn't as high on The Sacred Killing of a Deer, but he's a director that definitely pushes boundaries, definitely proposes challenging ideas in his movies. And I'm not exactly opposed to that. Like, you know, controversy or not, I enjoy movies that challenge the norm. I enjoy movies that like do things out of the ordinary. But these are actors and actresses that have major careers. There's a lot on the line for them if this movie ends up being something super fucking controversial.
I don't think this movie's controversial. And in my earlier point, how I didn't like Saltburn, I think Saltburn was more controversial because it was trying to create shock value in a sense.
Sure.
That's just my opinion.
Mhm.
But with Poor Things, I don't think Poor Things is a controversial film because it's more based on reality. Like when you think about it, the story, the progression, the woman experience, all this stuff, it's not really off base. It's not controversial. It's more so reality. And I think that a lot of women, especially, it's really weird that three dudes are talking about this. And that's what I think, like, it doesn't. So I apologize to anyone that's listening to this. Anyone that are listening to this, probably. But I think it's like
we don't have
really
any female
that we should
listeners. Don't worry.
You know what? You know what's crazy? You know what's fucking
Yeah.
wild? You know what's fucking insane? It's funny you say that because we're recording. I don't want to like get up to grab another beer because I'm all out. I literally texted Janice. I'm like, "Hey, I'm sorry. Can you grab me a beer?" Terrible, awful.
Oh, did you text your wife who you're keeping locked up in your room right now to give you a beer?
Oh, you're right. She hasn't come out and gotten it for me because I forgot to unlock the door. She's not allowed to leave.
No,
but
I
to my
do
point-
I
yeah,
do see
go
what
ahead,
Brandon
Brian.
is saying though, because the only thing controversial is the fact that it's a baby's brain in an adult's body, right? I guess you could say it's controversial up until a point in that movie, but once you see that she's matured and
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
like an adult, like mentally, like then it just becomes like Brandon was saying, the woman experience. So then
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not as like, oh, this is fucking wild. You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
like Brandon said, reality.
Yeah, and I was
Like,
like,
think about it. It's like people taking advantage of beautiful girl. That's essentially what it is. She's not
Yeah.
smart enough, yet developed enough logically
Mhm.
to, you know,
She
make
doesn't
the
have
right
enough
right
world
decisions.
experience to know
Yeah,
to know any
yeah.
different.
Obviously, you guys are right, because if it was super as controversial as, you know, some people are making it out to be, it probably wouldn't have won a fucking Oscar or even been on that platform, right?
Yeah, there
But-
was an article that came out about people who were voting on the Oscars, and this one person, I forgot what she was, but she was like, "Oh yeah, I just had a hard time getting it out of my mind that all these guys just wanted to fuck a baby." And I'm like, that's not a good take for if you actually like watched the movie. That's not a good take.
But that's how they would be, though. If we could all like pretend like, oh, we live in this world where people, but like this is the controversial point of the film. To feel sexually towards somebody that even has a child's brain, but a woman's body, that just goes to tell you more about the sexual attractions with men towards women, because it's just a take on, oh, we don't care about how you think.
Yeah.
About what you look like. People, yeah, dude. Like people
That's even
can't
illustrated-
break this movie down properly. That's
Yeah.
why it offends them, because
Yeah.
they can't properly break this fucking thing down. It's so good. People are offended and think it's weird, but you don't have the capacity to think at a broader level of what this movie's trying to tell the audience.
Bella Baxter doesn't have a baby brain. You have a baby brain. And like they even illustrate that point when she's at the whorehouse specifically, right? She herself is trying to introduce new ideas and ways to go about doing the whorehouse, right? And every single person, whether it's the patrons, the woman that runs it, are like shutting her down and basically telling her why that wouldn't work or why that's wrong. Like, I think the movie does illustrate what you're saying, Brandon, where it's not about people wanting to fuck a baby as much as it is people wanting to fuck a beautiful woman who doesn't think for herself or can like properly process a situation, you know? Yeah.
They're fucking right on the nose, man. That's all. Anybody who feels weird about this film, the world is fucked up. This movie isn't trying to be nice about it.
Real quick, I want to touch back on the art style real quick. I also think, going back to like how childlike it was, I think it's like when kids make drawings of stuff, right? It never really looks quite like it actually is, right? And like like specifically the boat, right, had like green smoke, right? Like kids will do that shit. Kids don't know jack shit about art, and they'll just make random shit up.
You mean people don't actually deep throat trains? What? I'm pretty sure I've seen Brandon do that before.
I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it. If anyone can deep
I
throat a
didn't know you were
train,
watching.
it's Brandon.
So I didn't really get a chance to talk about my general thoughts yet. I already said that I like this movie, and if that's not apparent from the conversation so far, I do really enjoy this movie. The color grading is definitely my favorite part. The pacing of this movie was really well done. Awkwardly and funny enough, the first time I watched this movie, I watched it with my wife Janice, and
I forgot to put that story in the intro.
My sister. None of us had any idea what it was about. We just knew it was a Yorgos movie, which I like Yorgos, and my sister had seen one of his movies that she liked too. So she likes Emma Stone, so she was really interested. And yeah, we did not know exactly what to expect, and it was very awkward. So when I came out of this movie, right, I had like the feeling of, God damn, that was a lot of fucking sex. Like that was like that was like a porno. Watching it a second time for this podcast, I was actually like, okay, yes, there's a lot of sex on it, but it's actually not as much as I remember there being. Because even in the theater, I remember looking at my watch and just going, wow, like another one? Like this is wild, you know? But like, I think that might have just been the awkwardness of watching it with my sister.
I think it's that, but also the whorehouse scene where she's like banging all these dudes back to back to back. It does go on for quite a bit. It is a long like sequence, so I can see why you remember it like being more.
I don't necessarily think any of it took away from the movie. I also don't necessarily think it necessarily adds to it either. Like there probably could have been one or two less sex scenes in the movie. I do think it does play an integral part in how modern day people view the world. Whether we like it or not, sex is in everything. Everything has to be sexy. Everything has to have some sort of sex appeal to it. A lot of people will do things inadvertently because maybe they feel it makes them more appealing to the opposite sex. Like there's a lot of ways in which sex plays a part in our lives that we just don't even really think about. I think this movie, approaching the angle that it does from the angle of like sex, it's not as senseless as people think it is. I think there was a purpose to it. And I think that it does serve its purpose, just to like kind of simplify that point.
Because it touched on like the like psychological aspects of sex, right? It dealt more than just fucking. It was like, how do I play into making this a pleasurable experience for this guy who has a very specific thing going on? You know what I mean? Like fucking guy who likes to hump legs, blah blah blah, blah, right? Like
we had a literal teaching a lesson happen during like one of the sex
exactly
scenes.
Yeah, so it wasn't just sex for the sake of having sex. Each time she was having sex, she was learning, she was taking note she was learning about people.
One of the best scenes in the movie is like when she has sex, I think for like the second time in the whorehouse, and before she starts, she tells the guy, like, okay, first, before we do anything, I want you to tell me a story about you as a child, and then I'm going to tell you a joke. And then if you smell good, it's good. If not, then maybe like some lavender or whatever, right? And I think that whole setup, that whole scene felt like a good human connecting moment.
It's because she's basically doing the opposite of what a prostitute would do in real life. When in real life, there's like, no, I don't kiss. Typically, you know, when you're a prostitute, you just want to fucking get out, right? Get your money up. This one, she's actually trying to form some sort of connection. So in reality, she's kind of a bad prostitute, but she's like a good human. She's providing, she's providing the girlfriend experience almost.
The woman should choose. Sir, wouldn't it make you feel better if the woman chose? Because then it would imply that they kind of want you. Like there's some sort of something there. It's really good.
I disagree though on being a bad I don't know, sex worker.
Brandon's like, I wish more prostitutes were like that. I wish they'd kiss.
I'm saying bad sex worker in opposed to like traditional real prostitutes where there's like these boundaries that they don't cross.
I disagree.
Are you speaking from experience?
Not from experience. I just disagree. I disagree.
All right, let's hear it.
When you're good at your job, you want to ask questions. Like just like I don't think there's really. I don't think she was bad at it.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I agree.
Think you're misunderstanding.
In most jobs, yes, you want to ask questions, but I don't necessarily think that applies to this job. Per se, but
that there's nothing wrong with having standards.
No, of course not.
That's not what I'm saying at all.
I don't, in the same way that I don't think this job necessitates questioning like other jobs do. This job also doesn't have W-2s like other jobs do. You know, like
sure, but still, like it could, like she could use condoms as a tax write-off. But like, the thing that I'm saying is. I think she was just communicative, and I don't think it was bad. I think it was bad, but I don't think she was bad at what she was doing.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying like if you're
trying
thinking
to change the system.
Yes, if you're thinking in terms of traditional prostitute, she would be a bad prostitute, but she's actually really good because she's forming connections. She's doing all these things to make the experience better for the client. Yeah,
she's inserting a human element into prostitution, which normally prostitution is known for.
It's
not
very transactional. This is very like emotional.
Yes,
in a way.
Other things that I think this movie does amazing is the writing. I think the writing in this movie is phenomenal. There's just some of the wittiest dialogue, some of the best back and forth conversations in this movie. I don't know if you guys have any that you have, but I wrote down some of my favorite quotes from this movie, dialogue. When God says, to get a sexual response from my body would take the same amount of electricity that runs North London.
Dude. So fucking good.
Fucking amazing. Another one is what is the tongue play you were about to perform? So is that not going to happen? Which is like the olden day version of so no head. Don't be such a cunt about it. Is another good one from Duncan. And then my favorite, and it's not even the line itself, it's just the delivery and the context of it. So when Bella comes back to the room after giving away all of Duncan's money, and she's just complaining, and she's just like crying about all the wrongs of the world, all the starving babies and whatever, she's crying, and then she ends it all with, "It's a bad day for Bella Baxter." It's so good, dude. So fucking good.
Dude, Emma Stone absolutely killed it, dude.
Yeah.
And, like, I loved Mark Ruffalo's like performance and everything, but Emma Stone, like, you gotta give the girl her flowers. Like, she fucking like literally drove this film. I don't think anybody could have done a better job at the role than she did.
No, yeah, like
Yeah, I'd
she.
agree with that.
It's weird because she has such a mainstream appeal because she's that big of an actress, but like she is willing to take on these roles that are a lot more challenging, that are a lot more like provocative. And she executes it to the fullest, you know, like even though her character by nature is awkward, there's no part of this movie that felt like actually awkward in terms of her performance. She embraced every single weird, crazy thing that she had to do in this movie. I know you didn't like it or care for it, Brandon, but it very much is giving Barry Keoghan slurping up the cum water. You know, he ate that shit. You can't even deny that, at least. He committed to that shit.
To that.
You know, and I do think Emma did that throughout the entire movie. This whole movie was her slurping the cum from the bathtub. Essentially,
Yeah,
you
but
know,
Emma
with how much she
did
committed.
a better job.
Sure. I'm not denying that. I'm not denying that. You know, I just, you know, you went hard on the movie. I agree with you. The movie's not as deep as it pretends to be, but I just had to defend Saltburn a little bit because I did enjoy it in terms of a fun, mainstream, stupid movie.
Listen.
I'm not saying it's deep.
I'm literally the only person I've ever talked to that just hates Saltburn, like, so it's not even an issue.
I don't blame you. Like, I get it. I understand. Another scene I wanted to shout out in this movie that I just think was just masterfully done was the dance sequence scene with like that really weird, like, I don't know what that instrument is, but it's like a really deep bass horn almost or whatever, and like the drum, and then Emma like just starts dancing really weird, and then her and Mark Ruffalo like just do this whole dance sequence that just the choreography and everything is just amazing. Like, it's just so well done. It just sent me to like a whole nother level. I was like, yo, this is fucking amazing.
To touch on the dancing, it's like because Mark Ruffalo and Emma Stone's character are in an argument, and fucking like they're both hating this shit, and they're dude, that choreography,
killing it,
that
dude,
was insane, dude.
Killing
but it's
it.
Also,
like,
the progression of the argument, and then going into like boom, like this whole dance sequence, and I think
there's like a Kendrick Lamar rap track.
Phenomenal. It was phenomenal.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
It was just great, and the way it ends with like.
Dude.
Him like going after that guy for like winking at her like really weirdly, and then those people coming up to ask her to like come dance with them. She leaves with them. He goes and attacks the guy, and then Emma is like so amused by it, and then she kicks the dude in the balls from the back.
Yeah.
Fucking wild, dude.
You know, what point do you guys think is when Emma Stone stops chasing Mark Ruffalo's character versus Mark Ruffalo chasing Emma Stone's character?
Right after the whole part where he like stops mid oral, I don't think they have sex ever again after that. Right when they were before about
I
to
think
do
it
it.
might be when she comes back from exploring the first place, right? Yeah.
Yeah. She's annoyed with him at the dinner scene, right? Like, pretty annoyed with him there. And then they are about to like have like makeup sex or whatever, I think. Ends up not happening. And then from there, they just start to disagree more and more and more, right? Like, I think she gets drunk at the bar. He berates her for going out. And like, they just clearly are not connecting anymore. And like she says on the boat where she just keeps giving him a chance because she always thinks it's going to be better. That's like that stage where like a girl or a guy or like in a toxic relationship with a partner, they just still choose to stay because they still remember what the past was like and they're hoping to recapture that at some point. But then eventually she realizes that that's never going to happen and finally makes the choice to like toss him to the side.
I think like her character was always known like she wasn't going to be with him.
Yeah,
it was just like a fun point of her life that she just wanted to enjoy. And then when he stopped being fun, that's when it was just like, well, I don't want to be around you anymore because she didn't see a serious relationship with him, but she just wanted to enjoy, you know, his company and just like run away. And I think that's what was the exciting part because when she was at the house with Willem Dafoe, her father, quote unquote, I think that's when her running away. Yeah, God. Which I think is absolutely because like he created life and he resurrected life. It's like a Frankenstein type situation.
Yeah.
But it's just like, she's rebels leaves. She wants something to pursue something more fun. She tells her husband at home, like, I will essentially be back. I just need to go, like, I need to have fun. So she never took Mark Ruffalo's character really seriously. She just found him exciting for a moment.
Yeah, she essentially did what Mark Ruffalo thought he was doing. Thought he was just going to take her and have a good time.
She hit him with the Uno reverse, bro.
Yeah, it was the Uno reverse card, bro.
Exactly.
What did we think of Max McCandles' character more deeply? Because as Brandon was saying, you know, she never saw Mark Ruffalo as like the long-term thing. She was always going to come back to Max. I did enjoy Max's character. I thought for what he was really good. For me personally, it was really hard for me to buy into their relationship. We don't see too much interaction between the two of them with her as a full adult, you know, mentally. So like it does feel weird, not in terms of like pedophilia or anything, but it just feels weird that he fell so hard for somebody that he could realistically barely communicate with. You know, on top of that, he barely spent any time with at all, at least on screen. Bella felt like too good for him by the time she got back. It almost feels like she should have also outgrown Max.
This is probably like where you can argue the controversy, because like you said, we don't get a lot of interaction with him, with Bella as an adult, right? And literally all you see of them interacting up until the point where Willem Dafoe's like, hey, you're gonna marry her, is like very babysitter, childlike monitoring.
I think his character still is guilty though, because he still technically fell in love and decided to marry essentially a woman with a child's brain. So the thing is like, it's a balancing of which male character is the worst. So we're going to start with her first husband is the worst, and then we're going to go to Mark Ruffalo's character would be the second of the worst, and then the third of the worst.
It's kind of like
the first most likely would be God. First of all, God is terrible. Her first husband is absolutely horrible. Mark Ruffalo's character is horrible. And then you have this middle ground where it's like, oh, you have this sweet character, Max, who essentially doesn't take advantage of her, but is still like attracted to something that like there's still everything about this movie is wrong. Like
this is basically
there's no right character.
Yeah,
would this still be considered grooming?
It's like all the different, it's like all the different types of like toxic, vile male behaviors presented to you, right? You got the guy who just wants to use women. You got the guy who's in a parental figure who the only reason why he didn't take advantage of her is because he fucking couldn't, right? And then you got the nice guy who probably knows what he's doing is wrong, but is going to do it anyways. Right. And then you just got the straight up controlling husband, right? Who's just like, you're my property, essentially.
And like, maybe it was, so chances are it's probably purposeful, right? It's just like with the way the movie goes about Max and Bella's relationship, you know, if that was going to be the end goal, like, I'm not saying you necessarily have to make Max not guilty, right? Of still kind of taking advantage of the situation. Like maybe that guilt still has to exist, but at least do a little bit more to develop their relationship to where I can believe that Bella would find Max interesting or would find Max's companionship compelling for her, because
why not?
they do such a good job of building up Bella's maturity, and we see her progress so much from like being a baby to being someone that challenges the conventional way of thinking and challenging like her views on the world. So like it almost feels like a step backwards to go back to something that you were comfortable with and knew from like almost like a previous life. Almost there is such a clear separation between the Bella that Max knew and the Bella that came back.
You two talk about this point. I have to take a piss. But I need to talk about this.
Actually, we should just pause as a whole because I'm going to have another beer.
I'm going to go as well.
My wife did not come.
Did you want to let us know that? And we're back.
Right.
Anyways, I did a wardrobe change. In case you haven't noticed, I was going for that old-timey vibe, but that shirt was way too tight.
He was really disappointed that people wouldn't know, so now he's explaining it.
Yeah, because it just kind of looked like, oh, this guy's just wearing a really tight shirt with a fucking weird middle part.
So, all right, Brandon, you wanted to talk about Max McCandles?
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought like his character was the lesser of the evil in a sense. Like it was just like the nice guy. But in the end, I think that if the story did progress, I don't think they would remain together. I think they would just like be more so really close companions versus
Oh, she's for sure cucking the fuck out of him.
Did
every
they
chance
actually
she
get
gets.
married though? At the end of the movie, I don't remember.
We don't actually
It's
see the
ambiguous,
marriage now.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
they might not even
Yeah,
be
no.
together.
She's for sure hot wifing him.
I don't know. When you think about it, it's just like her character too is just not interested in men. Essentially, she's grown into her own person. Essentially,
And that's essentially the kind of the point I was making, where like I really feel like by the time she gets back, any type of relationship with Max just kind of seems like meaningless.
Yeah.
You know, not that it needs to have a meaning, but like it just doesn't seem like it serves any character development for her anymore.
I get what
Yeah.
you're saying now.
Yeah.
Me taking a piss that really helped me understand.
Enlightened you. Yeah. Yeah. Or unlightened you, rather, I suppose, right? So another big thing that I want to shout out about this movie that I'm surprised we actually have not brought up yet.
Is it the fits?
Well, the fits are good too.
Fuck,
Yes,
the fits are fire,
good.
dude.
Fits are fire, dude. Her fit, little sidetrack. Her fit when she first goes out to explore the city with like those sunglasses,
Dude, yeah.
and it's almost like that. Like it's like a steampunky kind of like Barbie, like out on the town type of outfit that she's wearing. Fire, dude.
Yeah,
like
the wardrobe was
the
on
costume
point.
designer went fucking
Yeah.
off. They were locked
Absolutely.
in. On
Even
this
all
shit.
her like fucking prostitute outfits were fucking sick too. It's like, damn,
Yeah.
this is sick.
Yeah, everything
Yeah.
was crazy. When you said Barbie, though, like people compared this movie as like the more realistic version.
I mean,
of
I was
Barbie.
just kind of I didn't mean that. I know what you're talking about. I've seen it too. I didn't mean it that way. I meant more like in like she's got like a really frilly, puffy like
Yeah.
dress. Yeah, I'm not here for the Barbie comparisons with this movie. I think that's like smooth brain talk.
You know what it kind of reminded me of? It kind of
We're not about to pit two successful women against each other.
Smooth brain talk.
what it kind of
Yeah.
reminded me of was it. I don't know if it's an homage, but it kind of reminded me of Dorothy from Wizard of Oz.
Mhm.
And it kind of makes sense too if you think about it, because she gets dropped into Oz, right? And it's like a whole new world for her. Whereas
Yeah.
when Bella's exploring, it's like everything is brand new for her. So maybe there was like some parallels there.
Yeah, like the simple-minded people are like, take off your clothes, Emma Stone. I was like, put that shit on, Emma Stone. Fits were crazy. But yes, no, not that, but that also deserves its own little like praise because it's the costume design.
Well, I think they
Super
got
fucking
the praise
great.
with the Oscar. So
They got I didn't watch the Oscars, I don't know. So they got an Oscar for costume design.
yes.
Did they get the Oscar for sound design?
No,
Because I think this movie
no, that A24 movie did the one about the Holocaust.
Interesting. I can't wait till we do an episode on that one. The sound design of this movie is just so good. Just like the weird instrumentals that play throughout the movie, the weird noises that happen just in general, like whenever Willem Dafoe like burps.
That was
Like,
so gross.
That whole
I
sequence.
fucking hated that. Every time I saw it, I was like,
Like-
dude, what the fuck?
Like the furious music that plays whenever she's having sex. This movie just goes absolute ape shit with like the sound design, and like I loved it.
Yeah, I think like even the burping is crazy because it's just still reminding you like as much as this film can touch on reality, it's still like a sort of fiction. It's almost like a storybook Disney film that's rated R in a sense. It's like this princess that escapes the castle.
That's actually a really
And-
good way to see it. I didn't,
You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
the father figure who wants her to stay, but she leaves anyways, or
the father figure that takes a hot iron to your balls.
every
Jesus.
aspect of this movie, dude, is like it's fucking it's amazing. The imagery is insane, and the burping too. Like the idea of him burping, but then the bubbles becoming like like you can see it float is disgusting.
Yeah.
It's also perfect. Like it's who thinks
Even-
of this shit?
I don't know if this would fall into sound design, but again, like just the delivery of some of the voice dialogue lines is just so well done. Bella.
The line about that you said where Emma Stone was like, "This is a
It's a bad day for Bella Baxter.
bad day for Bella Baxter."
This is a
Delivery is so good.
It's so fucking brilliant. She's no different than the chicken dog. So good, dude.
after giving all his money away, it's a bad day.
Day for Bella Baxter. Oh my god, this dude's just having the worst day of his fucking life.
I think like after the prostitution scene where he's like, I haven't seen you. And she was just like, I thought you were the one that was gonna, bring in the income, but you didn't step up. So she had to do it.
That was
And I think
hard. That
point
shit was a
like
bar,
crazy.
dude.
So
Did you
it's like
fuck that guy with the hook for a hand? I beat the shit out of him. Like, there's just so many good fucking lines in this movie. It's just-
Cannot top this movie. This is like the comedic, like this movie is fucking, it's amazing. Dude.
I agree actually, because we did watch Beau is Afraid most recently, and that was also like a black comedy. And like I laughed a decent amount in the movie, but this movie like it's like the first black comedy where I actually was laughing just as much as like what a normal comedy was supposed to do. Like this movie is genuinely fucking hilarious. Do you guys have any more positive thoughts about this movie that you wanted to touch on?
So the sets were mostly practical. Like they built those sets. That's pretty fucking badass because
That's really cool.
Holy
yeah,
shit.
they could have easily like CG'd that shit, but that shit was legit.
I saw like a side-by-side comparison of shots in this movie compared to shots from this movie called Metropolis, which was like an old 1920s movie.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously a lot of that's all practical. It is insane. First of all, it's just super impressive that there's a movie that was made in 1927 that looks as good as it does.
Mm-hmm.
They had to be a lot more imaginative with how they design things because they obviously didn't have the means to create things as realistically as we do now. So like just the stage production and stage design and stuff in that movie is just so fantastical and so it just has a lot of character to it.
Yeah.
And then this movie does take those same kind of principles and apply it here too, just with more modern sensibilities. The set design in this movie is just so good. And like even parts where it's like practical staging, but then the backdrop is like green screened in or whatever. Like I think when she's standing on the bridge before she jumps off of it, I think the bridge and everything that she's standing on is all practical, but then the screen behind her
That
is like
scene was sick. It's so short
super
in the
well
movie,
done.
but like everything about
Yeah.
it, the framing, the color, like it was just sick, dude. I love that scene.
super well done. So did you guys have anything that you didn't like about the movie? Or at least just didn't hit for you as hard, or it just kind of bothered you?
The only
So-
thing I could
okay.
say is the brothel scenes. Like there was maybe like one or two customers too long.
Who was
Honestly,
your favorite?
that's it. Who was my favorite? That actually brings into a question I want to ask you guys at the end of this. But
Okay, so maybe we save
let's
it for
save
later.
that. Let's save that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Something that I didn't like about the movie that you could almost argue turns it into a compliment of the movie, right?
Okay.
I really wish that this movie had, and hopefully we do eventually, had like a director's cut. I want to see like the true director's vision for what this movie should be without any type of constrictions in terms of time or whatever. There's a few parts in this movie that I just wish we got a little bit more because to me, these are some of the more interesting parts of the movie that we do not spend enough time with. So like the scene with Harry, some of their dialogue together, I wish we got more of them just kind of exchanging ideas more. The girl that she meets at the brothel, her character was fairly interesting and she seems like someone that Bella resonates with very deeply. Just more of that dynamics, some things that I feel like bring something interesting out of Bella, right? Because it's very clear that most of the men that Bella come across do not challenge her at a certain point. They incite no type of emotion out of her. They do not challenge her ideas of the world. They do not bring upon new ideas of the world to her. She just kind of sees them for what they are. I think these are some of the more interesting relationships that she's had throughout the movie. The old lady being another one. Like I enjoyed a lot of the conversation and dialogue that she has with those characters, and I just wish that we had more of that because I think it would really do a lot to serve just how we end up with the final form of Bella.
You said it was a book or a novel?
It was a novel.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. How old do you think the novel is?
I'm gonna say like 1950s.
Shit.
If you had
Probably
to guess.
older than that, dude. Like way older than that. Like fucking 1800s.
Wow.
Would you believe it's a year older than you guys?
Huh, what?
Came out in
So
1992.
Yeah. Wow.
92.
Wow.
I guess.
Also, first of all, thanks for aging us on the podcast.
Hey,
But
Oh,
you know,
okay.
Austin, I don't think that we needed more. I don't know. Maybe the book or novel goes in deeper with these characters and everything, but I think the movie portrays it at a speed that I think is appropriate to Bella's progression as a woman. Like she develops quickly, so she can go through relationships really fast. So it's like that philosophical, smart dude who you think like has this crazy outlook on the world. Essentially, is just not even that crazy when you grow up. You're just like, oh, what the fuck? Like,
I'm not saying it's crazy. I'm just saying like
I
to
don't
me
even
those
think
were like the
female
most.
characters or anybody needs to challenge her, you know.
That's
Because
not
I don't
necessarily
think anybody
but
in her life is a challenge.
it's not necessarily that they need to. It's that they do, right? Like they do provide her with new ideas that she then quickly adapts to and picks up on, right? I'm just saying, like, for me, those were like the more interesting conversations in the movie that she would have. If you're not talking about the comical ones, right? Because obviously every conversation she has with Duncan at a certain point just becomes comedy. These scenes to me were interesting in terms of like it gave me a little bit more sense for her character. And like I'm not necessarily saying that the movie needs it. I'm just saying that it would have been a nice little plus for me, you know?
Absolutely. You know, I see what you're saying too, but my point too is like none of the men in her life were trying to challenge her. They were more so trying to sexually exploit her. So I don't think that those conversations really had a chance to even develop.
Talking about Duncan, right? Like Duncan, yes, was just trying to sexually exploit her, but Harry wasn't trying to do that.
But I think you're right though too. It's like as you're just looking for a little bit more like meat on the bone.
Yeah, Duncan. Yes, I'm all for however much time we spent with Duncan and the amount of time we spent with all the people at the brothel. Like that's all fine. It's the people that she actually chooses to care about and take into her life. I'm very curious about that. The way I kind of like jokingly summarize this movie up is it's like, you know, like the Dos Equis most interesting man in the world.
Yeah.
This is like the story of the most interesting woman in the world and how she became the most interesting woman in the world. You know, like what if we learned the story behind the Dos Equis most interesting man in the world? You know,
it's the exact same story.
Yeah, because at the end, she's like, they're like drinking the martinis, and then she like gives that look to the camera.
Yeah.
You know, it's like total like, oh, this
why
like gives me like.
Why do you think he says "Stay thirsty, my friend"? He just wants everyone to fuck. It's the exact same movie.
Yeah.
That's actually a really good way to put it, dude.
Matt, did you have that question that you wanted to throw at us?
Yes.
I like to call this segment "We Are Men of Science."
Oh, okay. I like that. Okay.
We are men of science, after all.
Alrighty, guys. So here's the deal.
You guys don't have any.
Here's the deal.
No bitches.
No bitches.
No bitches.
All right. Let's say you work at a brothel and you are you. You're not Bella. You are yourself. All right. And you have to pick a client. Who are you going with? Your options are crab walk guy, leg humping guy, the guy teaching his kids how to have sex, or hook hand. Who you guys? Did
you fuck that guy with the hook for a hand? I beat the shit out of him.
Who you guys fucking?
See, here's the thing, right? We don't actually see. I thought it was like a spider walk. Crab walk, you know, he's got to have the little hand action. He doesn't have the hand action.
I guess you're right. It was kind of a.
Hey, yo.
I think he's actually credited as crab walk guy, though.
Okay.
Crab man is what he's credited.
What are the options? Who are the options?
Okay, the options. Hold on.
Crab man, hook for hand.
Guy teaching his kids how to have sex, and leg humping guy. Mind you, this will all lead to sex regardless.
I think I'm gonna pick crab walk guy. I don't know why. I'm just very
superpower. Like what was his like thing?
He walks like a crab.
He walked like a crab up to
and
her.
he fucks like one too.
Yeah.
Damn, I don't even know how crabs.
Actually, I'm about to Google something really crazy right now. I'm about to Google how do crabs fuck.
Isn't there a crab position?
I wouldn't doubt it. How
do crabs fuck? The male. Okay,
here we go.
The male transfers sperm by inserting his gonopods into two genital pores called gonophores on the female's underside.
Okay, so
Honestly,
someone's gonna
episode of
unload their
Power
gono
Rangers.
pods in your bum hole.
That's not what it said. It like Gono 4s. Thank you. Get it right.
I'm sorry. The
Fucking-
technical term for your bum hole is your gono.
Oh,
four.
dude, this doesn't look that bad.
Are you
This is
sure you want
It's like
this guy?
spooning.
you're
That's fine.
really trying hard to justify the crab walk guy.
I mean,
Why
I
do
don't-
you
okay.
want something? Why do you want that?
no, that's not that I want it.
You want
It's the
his
choice. Okay, but
quality.
listen. Okay, think about it this way, right? Teaching guy, that's fucking weird. You know that's gonna take forever.
A finger
What's-
in the bum will speed things along, as Bella
Apparently.
says.
Go with
Or
the
choking.
guy and get it over with.
But you like, what class have you attended that ended quickly, right? Like they all take for fucking ever. So no, leg humping guy, gross. It's just
That's
no.
the one.
I'm
That's
good.
the one that's gross.
Look, I don't want to feel that. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Hook hand guy, I'm a little intrigued, but you know that hook looks cold. Crab walk guy for me personally.
Sound like you really want to explore more sexually, Austin.
I'm literally just picking an
With-
option. Like,
with
what
crabs.
are you gonna pick?
With crabs.
What are you gonna pick? What are you picking?
Guy.
The hook guy, dude. He's gonna shove that thing in your ass, bro.
No,
it's
I
not
said
gonna
no.
go pretty.
Yeah, I think it's
It's
gonna go
not
in your
gonna be
ass.
pretty. I'm telling you right now. He's gonna turn you into a ventriloquist puppet. You're not gonna like it, dude.
First of all, you're discriminating against the disabled. Like this, he's not gonna use the hook.
He's gonna turn your asshole into handicap parking.
He's just gonna lift me up with the hook. Like
Yeah, bro. Finish him.
you know, I'm like a civil rights sign.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, that can't feel good. I'm good,
Oh, yeah,
bro.
that's
He's not gonna use the hook, dude.
No,
You
he's
don't
gonna
know
use
that.
the hook, bro. He's for sure
the
gonna
one
use the
thing that
hook.
makes
Has
him
enough
unique. He's
tape, you
gonna
can't-
use it. He's
Yeah.
gonna use it.
That's not how it works.
How do you know that? You don't get to make the rules, Bella Baxter.
Dude,
No,
depends
you
on how
don't.
much money you have. You can't just say you're gonna
It's
use the
30
hook.
francs. No, you're fucked,
The
dude.
hook is like 60 francs. Let's keep
You're
it a
No,
Dog, is
you're
that
fucked,
enough
dude.
to repair and sew back your asshole after? Your
Thing has-
asshole is gonna look like Godwin Baxter.
It's gonna look like Willem Dafoe.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I go
God.
with the hook. I
That
go with
shit's
the
not
hook. It's
gonna look-
clean. It's simple. It's fast.
True.
We're done.
Jesus.
What about you? What
Me?
do you choose?
Yeah, you're not getting out of this.
No, yeah. I would
Yeah,
choose.
yeah.
I would choose leg humping guy.
No, dude.
I've been hitting the weight,
Why?
so it would be
Dude,
nice. It would be
he
nice
was
for someone to
going-
appreciate my legs. So I'm
He
going
was-
leg humping guy, bro.
You would say that. You
I'm going
fucking
leg humping
weirdo.
guy, bro. I
You
want him to
would say
appreciate.
that.
He would appreciate my calves.
You
So
like-
Yeah,
hell
I bet you would. I
Hell
bet
yeah.
you would.
Yeah, yeah.
I bet you would.
Easy,
That motherfucker was.
easy.
Go back and watch that scene. I want you to watch that scene
Easy.
again. He was going to town. He was going
Yeah,
to town.
as he should,
oh,
as he
fuck,
fucking
dude.
should.
This motherfucker. Because you don't skip leg day.
Yeah, so he
You
would
just want
appreciate
somebody
that
to
shit.
appreciate it.
Exactly.
I liked how you picked all the worst ones. You couldn't pick the two pumps guy.
No. No, but honestly though, like the first guy, kind of the worst, bro. That dude was so ugly and freaky
And
looking.
he smelt
And
too.
he's so skeevy looking. Yeah. All right. The body of a toddler, the mind of an adult, or the body of an adult, mind of a toddler.
I mean, if I had the mind of a toddler, I wouldn't necessarily be cognizant of that fact, though, would I?
Not necessarily. No.
Yeah, maybe that.
Take the body, dude.
Of an adult,
Body
mind
of a
toddler.
toddler, mind of an adult. like Gary Coleman.
Okay. Wild. Wild.
Yeah.
Yo, what you talking about, Brandon?
Oh, yo. Rest in peace. Rest in peace, Gary Coleman.
Yo. Wild.
Oh,
Crazy.
shit. I'm not even
Crazy
going to answer
statement.
that. I can't follow that up. There's no point. That's an end of
No,
question.
no,
That's
you're
it.
not up free. What are you answering? What do you
Bro,
pick?
Fuck it. I'm going mind of an adult, body in the toddler, baby.
Why would
Okay.
you want that?
Hey, listen, Brandon, different strokes, okay?
Different strokes, man.
Different strokes.
See what you did there. You disgusting freak. I don't know, man. Why would you want that though?
Because I'll eventually get to an
Um,
adult body. Whereas by the time you're cognitive
No,
of
you
like
said you want to be an adult.
body of a toddler, mind of an adult.
Okay, so he's doing the same thing as you, Brandon.
okay,
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Gary Coleman never got the adult body. I mean, again, that's fucked up because he's not even this experiment.
Brother. He's
Yeah.
already dead. He's buried taller than he was, bro. Like, chill, man. Just chill on Gary Coleman.
Fucking Christ.
Wow.
That's wild. That's crazy.
Chill.
You know what's interesting too is that they never specify that the baby was a woman, right? Like, what if there was like, what if
Maybe that's why she just likes to fuck and use people.
think about it, right? What if the baby was a boy?
Yeah, because they never specify it was female or not. And that's, yeah.
Oh.
I like that thought.
And listen,
That explains a
what's
lot of the
first-
behavior.
What would any of us do if we were in the body of a woman?
Yeah.
Let the homies get some, am I
Oh.
right?
Well, touch myself first, but yes. Let's get some. Explore my body first, and then you know, share it.
Yeah, let the homies get some for once, right? Brandon, I'm gonna let you know if I'm ever a girl, bro. You smashing, bro.
I don't want to hit you. I only want to hit you physically, not like I don't.
I mean, what?
I'm not, I don't need your fucking sexual favors.
Do you guys have a favorite animal mutation thing?
Oh, dude, they were
Abomination.
all unsettling.
They were all fucked up. Dude.
They were all fucked.
It was
I
all
guess
so
the-
fucked up.
The chicken dog? Was it a chicken dog?
There's like a
I forget
chicken.
which ones there were.
There's like a chicken with like dog
Or
legs
like
that
a
barks
duck
or
something.
There's like
There's like a duck
there's
dog.
like a pig. There's like a pig chicken.
Something like that. Yeah.
Definitely the horse. I think that was like fucking interesting.
The horse carriage.
But it just like goes to tell you there's a deeper like root. Like I think what Austin was saying is like more of like development of like what the fuck is going on.
Mhm.
But like it just shows like I think Willem Dafoe's character was just like experimenting and fucking doing crazy weird Frankenstein type shit.
Yeah.
Dude, all the fucked shit that his dad did to him,
Yeah.
bro.
Yeah.
Poor
He
guy,
would just
man.
casually say it every time Max is just like, Jesus. Fuck. So good. What did you guys think about the final scene of like the wedding being interrupted and then her going over to the husband's house in the castle? I will say this, the wedding scene, fucking hilarious. Loved every second of it. The part where Duncan was like, he's the devil. Like he's even coughing, not that of normal human spit, but blood. And then
Can't
Max is like, he has cancer, you asshole. He's like, oh.
I think that scene was great because Mark Ruffalo's character hiding behind
hiding
Bella's
behind him.
ex-husband, and then just like pointing and just being like snitching in a sense like
It's like, yeah.
if I can't have her she'll
Dude, and
be,
then
like
the husband's just like, anyway, and then goes
Yeah.
on to like say his point. But yeah, what did you guys think about that? Because that's the part of the movie where I thought we were gonna get like a good conclusion, and then I was like, oh shit, we're like going on a whole nother tangent. And it ended up being good. Like I liked it, but like if the movie didn't have it, I don't think I necessarily would have minded that.
It didn't need it, but they set it up pretty early on in the movie where Bella gets recognized. It's like, oh, you're so and so, right? So it's like, okay, you already know at some point this is going to pay off somewhere down the movie, and we're going to get a little bit of who she actually was.
What was her name again? What's her real name?
I completely forgot what it was. You're right, where it kind of feels like, oh, okay, we're going to get a satisfying ending there. And then there's like, wait, there's more. I didn't love it necessarily, but it was fine.
I think the scene where the original husband takes Bella's character back to the mansion and he says to one of the maids, look who's back.
Yeah.
And then the maid just like it looks like all this bitch.
Dude, no fucking maid fucks with Bella, bro. The maid
Yeah.
at God's house doesn't fuck with her, and the maid at the husband's house doesn't fuck with her. Service people do not fuck with Bella, bro.
I think it's hilarious because it also shows that Emma Stone's character in her previous life was still a terrible person, even if her
So-
husband was
I
still
don't
horrible.
know if
She
she
We're
was
not.
was
still-
So that's the thing. Like,
terrible.
we're not sure. Like,
Yeah.
it's implied that she's kind of just going along with it.
It's
but she still
implied
feels
that
guilty.
she hates it there because when Bella's exploring like the room or whatever, and you see like her notepad, it's like repeatedly there's like in marks of her just writing fuck all over that paper. So she was definitely miserable with this dude. Obviously, she fucking killed
Oh.
herself.
Why do you think the maid service though would be like
I think
That-
she obviously would have to treat them. a
I think
certain
she
way
would
for-
still, because I think she still went along with stuff, right? Like, because like remember, he points out that, oh, we did your favorite things. Like, oh, what was my favorite thing? And then he fucking does the thing with the maid where he scares the soup onto her with the dog. And then he's like laughing hysterically at it. So it's implied that she probably
Oh, you know what?
laughed with him.
Yeah,
you
because
know?
they kind of hint at that when she likes the violence, where she's like, "Oh, push the old lady off the fucking balcony," and Mark Ruffalo's character's like, "Oh, hell yeah!" And then he tries going for it, and she like
Yeah.
is fucking dying laughing at it. So yeah, I think you're right. I think what she was fucking bummed about was having a baby, right? I think they might have mentioned that she didn't want the kid or something like that. I think that might have been mentioned. I could be wrong on that.
Who's to say, right? We don't know. I'm of the thought that she was kind of just going along with it. I'm not going to say that she was the best person either, but I'm not going to say that she was completely complicit with what was happening either. You know, like I do think there was like a sense of guilt that still was in her. Then with the baby, like she just clearly recognized that this was not a good person to be with, but she also knew she couldn't escape him. And so that the only way she could truly escape him was to kill herself.
Could be like a Trump and Melania situation.
Yeah.
Let's get into our ratings. Let's rate this bad boy or bad girl. Actually, sorry,
Ooh,
sorry,
bad girl.
bad girl.
Bella. This is a 4 out of 5 for me. Yeah, I think this movie really executes on what it's trying to do. It just nails it in every sense of the word. In like, it does a lot of things extremely well and handles very tricky things and very interesting scenarios with a lot of tact and like cleverness and very skilled writing and directing. I think this movie is really a testament that art house movies can be mainstream. They can be commercially successful. So with that, like a 4 out of 5. It's not perfect in my opinion. There are some things that I maybe wish were done a little bit more differently, or I probably would have done things a little bit differently if I was in control. But I do think it is an excellent movie that I would recommend most people to watch. Maybe just not with your sister, like how I watched it.
If I had a sister, I'd watch it with her because I, unlike you, am okay with my sexuality.
I don't think it has much to do with my sexuality as much as I just don't want to watch it with my sister.
I give this movie a 4.5 out of 5. 4.5. Strong 4.5 out of 5. Better than Saltburn. Great film all around. The reason why I think this movie would make people uncomfortable is because it touches on subjects that are far too personal. And besides the chickens and the horses,
That's
but
very
everything
personal to
else,
me,
like,
actually.
I think
How dare you assume that?
I can't forget it. Minus the fictional parts, I think this film is more based on reality than it is fiction. This movie is so fake that it's real.
Wow.
4.5 out of 10.
Deep.
Damn.
4.5 out of 5. Sorry.
Make sure you cut up.
Out of 10.
Sorry.
All
So
right.
dumb.
So I'm going to give Poor Things a 4. When we did our Iron Claw episode, we watched that movie on Christmas. And that night we were deciding between two movies, Poor Things and Iron Claw. And if we were to do Poor Things that night, I wouldn't leave disappointed. I would leave feeling awkward though, for sure. Especially watching it with my sister.
And strangely aroused.
No.
Why do you feel awkward watching it with your sister?
You know why I feel awkward watching it with my sister? Because she's not sex positive.
Jesus Christ.
That's crazy.
She's not sex positive, dude. She's like, why would girls do porn?
She, to be fair, Drea liked the movie, by the way. I should point
but
that
she's not sex
out.
positive, bro. We would have some
Oh,
conflicting
Lord.
ideas
like
there.
watching this movie with your parents would be awkward, but your sister, it's like
She's not woke
Shut up.
enough, dude. She thinks she is, but she's not.
it's like shut up and watch this movie.
Yeah.
Just not a movie I'd recommend watching with family members, you know, just in my opinion. It's just weird. I mean, if you guys could
Just
get
gotta
through
be
it,
more comfortable.
I suppose. You watching it with your mom?
family
You watching it
members.
with your mom? Is that
Sure,
you doing
yeah.
that? Yeah.
Why not?
Judy? I could already hear her, bro, in the theater to you in the parking lot after watching it. Brandon, what the fuck was that? Like, I know your mom, dude. She's not.
No, for real, she would.
She's not.
She was like, what the fuck?
What the fuck was that?
What the fuck did you just have me
Man,
watch?
that was nothing. She's like, word for word. I guarantee you. I know your mom so well, dude. That was nothing but fucking. That was nothing but fucking.
Yeah, that's the thing though. It's like the sexual part, people just aren't comfortable sexually. So I think people
Clearly.
need to be more
Yeah.
sexually comfortable with their sisters and their. No, I'm kidding. Joke.
Clearly.
All right, so that brings Poor Things overall score to a 4.2. So good.
I don't like that.
You don't like that? It's a 4.2. It's just the average score, man.
4.5 out of 5.
4.5 out of 10.
All right, so that is our episode on Poor Things. Hope you enjoyed us mansplaining everything to you.
This
Because
is terrible.
Andy, eat your burger. Thanks for coming on our
Andy
show.
Eat Burger.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, of
Andy,
course.
eat burger.
Andy Eat Burger.
Thank you.
EAT.
For coming on our show. You have been listening to the Nosebleed AV Club. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at Nosebleed AV Club.
Oh, TikTok. Yeah. Make sure to cut my parts only for TikTok. Like,
Yeah,
Got it.
let's go viral, guys.
100%. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, leave us a rating, leave us a review, hit that follow button. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, join the conversation, leave a comment, hit that like button, do all those cool things. You can find our rankings of all the movies we review on our website at nosebleedav.club. We are trying to build our own Bella Baxter. So, if you guys can do all of
The perfect woman.
we are trying to build
Finally.
the perfect
No
woman.
way.
So if you can do all those things, it would greatly help us out. We could get the funds and the know-how to do that.
You
And-
hoard yourself.
They are
How-
trying to build their own Bella Baxter.
I'll forgive the whoring.
So, yeah. So if anybody, if anyone with a hook for a hand, or a crab
so
man,
good.
or anyone who just admires caps wants to hit us up and help us with that, please do so. Thanks for listening. Peace.
Wait, Austin, one more line.
What?